This week, Demi Moore is on GMA, and she's telling us about her life like we've never heard it before.
Everyone knows that A-list love is never easy. But was Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore's relationship doomed from the start? Or were they victims of their own bad luck?
Demi Moore's life has been filled with incredible highs and devastating lows. At 62 years old, she has finally opened up about her most difficult moments, including a secret miscarriage, personal regrets, and an addiction that nearly destroyed everything she held dear. Her story is one of survival, healing, and ultimately finding peace with herself. Demi Moore was born on November 11, 1962, in Roswell, New Mexico. Her childhood was marked by instability and trauma from the very beginning. Her father left before she was born, leaving her mother to struggle as a single parent. When Demi was just 15 years old, she experienced a terrible betrayal that would leave lasting emotional scars. In her memoir, she revealed that her mother allowed an older man to hurt her in exchange for $500. This traumatic experience would affect her relationships and self-worth for years to come. Life at home was chaotic and unpredictable. Both of her parents struggled with heavy drinking, and the family moved constantly. By the time Demi turned 14, they had moved over 30 times. She never felt safe or stable in any place they lived. When she was just 12 years old, Demi faced another horrifying situation. Her mother attempted suicide, and Demi had to dig pills out of her mother's mouth with her small hands while her stepfather held her down. This traumatic moment forced her to grow up far too quickly and take on responsibilities no child should bear. School was also difficult for Demi. She struggled with dyslexia, which made learning challenging, and she had a medical condition that required multiple surgeries on her eyes. The combination of her learning difficulties and unstable home life made it hard for her to focus on her education. By age 16, she made the difficult decision to drop out of school and live on her own. She worked various jobs to support herself, including modeling and debt collection work. At 17, she married a rock musician named Demi Moore, hoping that marriage would help her escape her troubled past. However, the marriage only lasted 4 years. Despite all the challenges she faced, Demi refused to give up on her dreams. She was determined to create a better future for herself and kept pushing forward even when things seemed hopeless. At 19, she got her first big break in the entertainment industry when she was cast in the popular soap opera General Hospital. She played a character named Jackie Templeton, a journalist. Over 1,000 actresses auditioned for this role, but Demi stood out from the crowd. Although she only made $750 per episode, this role marked the beginning of her rise to stardom. Her character Jackie was strong and determined, which was unusual for women on television at that time. Demi's performance impressed both viewers and producers, showing that she had real talent and star potential. However, off-screen, Demi was struggling with a serious addiction problem. She partied heavily, often for days at a time, which threatened to derail her promising career before it really began. Fortunately, her director Joel Schumacher saw her potential and stepped in to help. When Demi was cast in her next big project, St. Elmo's Fire, Schumacher gave her an ultimatum: get sober or lose the part. He arranged for someone to be with her at all times during filming to help her stay on track. The studio even paid for this support, showing how much they believed in her talent. Demi made the difficult but necessary choice to fight her addiction, and she succeeded. In 1985, St. Elmo's Fire became a huge success. The movie was about a group of friends navigating the challenges of adulthood and featured other young stars like Rob Lowe and Emilio Estevez. Demi played Jules, a party girl with her own struggles, a role that reflected some of her real life challenges. Her performance in this film made her part of the Brat Pack, a group of rising young stars in the 1980s. While the actors didn't love being called the Brat Pack, it brought them fame and opened doors for bigger opportunities. The success of St. Elmo's Fire led to more starring roles in movies like About Last Night, setting the stage for even greater success. Demi Moore became a true superstar in 1990 with the movie Ghost. This film was a massive hit, earning $505.7 million worldwide, despite being made on a relatively small budget of $22 to $23 million. It became the highest-grossing movie of 1990 and was so popular that it became the most rented video in the United States in 1991. In Ghost, Moore played Molly Jensen, and her performance touched audiences deeply around the world. The famous pottery wheel scene with Patrick Swayze, set to the song Unchained Melody, became one of the most iconic moments in movie history. People still reference this scene today, and it's considered a classic romantic moment in cinema. Demi's short haircut in the film also started a global fashion trend, with women everywhere copying her look. The movie's success had a personal side too. While Ghost was dominating the box office, her husband Bruce Willis's film Die Hard 2 was also a huge hit. At one point, their movies were the top 2 films in theaters at the same time, something that hadn't happened for another married Hollywood couple until 34 years later. The success of Ghost earned Moore a Golden Globe nomination and a Saturn Award for Best Actress, proving that both critics and fans appreciated her work. The movie wasn't just a simple love story. It mixed romance, comedy, and supernatural elements in a way that was fresh for Hollywood. Its success proved that movies with unique ideas could still be big hits, inspiring filmmakers to try more creative storytelling approaches after Ghost. Moore continued to shine in major roles. In 1992, she starred with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. The movie made over $236 million worldwide, and Moore played Lieutenant Commander Joanne Galloway, showing she could hold her own in a serious, male-dominated film. In 1993, she starred in Indecent Proposal, which was another huge box office success, earning nearly $267 million on a $38 million budget. The movie asked a provocative question: would a married woman sleep with a stranger for $1 million? Moore played Diana Murphy, and her performance started big debates about morality and relationships. However, this role also brought criticism. Feminists argued that the movie treated women like property, and Moore faced significant backlash. She later said that the criticism she received during this time was one of the hardest parts of her career. Despite the negative reactions, she kept taking on bold roles, seeing them as a way to challenge society's expectations about women and push boundaries in Hollywood. Moore's career took an even riskier turn with 2 controversial movies in the mid-1990s. In 1996, she starred in Striptease, where she played a stripper. The movie got a lot of attention because of its daring subject matter and Moore's nude scenes. She was paid $12.5 million for the role, making her the highest-paid actress in Hollywood at that time. Then in 1997, Moore starred in G.I. Jane, playing the first woman to go through Navy SEAL training. To prepare for the role, Moore shaved her head on camera and did many of her own stunts. She also trained intensively, building muscle and lowering her body fat to just 10%. These 2 roles showed opposite sides of Moore's range as an actress. In Striptease, she embraced her femininity and sexuality, while in G.I. Jane, she took on a tough, masculine role. This sparked debates about gender roles in Hollywood. Moore herself reflected on this, saying that playing a stripper upset women, and playing a soldier upset men. Even though these movies brought controversy, they also made Moore's star power even bigger. However, the criticism and public scrutiny affected her deeply. In her 2019 memoir, Moore shared that this period marked the start of a tough time in her personal life, with struggles involving substance abuse and body image issues. Demi Moore's personal life has been marked by 3 significant marriages, each bringing its own challenges and lessons. Her first marriage was to musician Freddie Moore when she was just 17 years old. This happened on February 8, 1980, but the marriage wasn't based on love. Instead, it was more about escaping the pain of losing her stepfather. She admitted years later in her memoir that the night before the wedding, instead of feeling excited or happy, she was on the phone with another man she'd met on a movie set. Even before it started, the marriage felt doomed. She took Freddie's last name and made it her stage name, which stayed with her throughout her entire career. During their marriage, they even worked together on some songs, including It's Not a Rumor, which became a small hit. But the relationship was difficult because Demi was still so young, trying to figure out who she was while being in this adult relationship. She later admitted that she sabotaged the marriage herself, knowing deep down it wasn't right. The marriage ended in 1985, but it left a lasting mark on her, shaping how she viewed love, trust, and herself. Demi's love story with Bruce Willis started like something out of a romantic movie. They met in 1987 at a premiere while Demi was engaged to another actor, Emilio Estevez. The spark between Demi and Bruce was undeniable and immediate. 4 months later, they were in Las Vegas for a boxing match when Bruce proposed. They got married right then and there on November 21, 1987. It was impulsive, but it worked for a while, and Hey became one of Hollywood's most famous and beloved couples. Bruce was a rising star with Die Hard, and Demi was becoming one of the highest-paid actresses ever. They had 3 daughters together: Rumor, born in 1988, Scout in 1991, and Tallulah in 1994. However, their demanding careers kept them apart a lot, and they had different ideas about family life. Bruce wanted Demi to stay home more, but she was breaking records, earning $12.5 million for striptease and showing no signs of slowing down her career. Even with these challenges, they managed to stay close for a long time. They even acted together in the movie Mortal Thoughts. But in 1998, after 11 years of marriage, they decided to separate. Unlike many Hollywood divorces, theirs was surprisingly peaceful and mature. They stayed friends, co-parented their children successfully, and even attended each other's weddings later on. Their blended family became an example of how divorced couples can still support each other and put their children's needs first. Demi's biggest challenge during all this was balancing her successful career with being a mother. When she had Rumor in 1988, she didn't slow down her work pace. By 1991, she made headlines by posing nude while pregnant with Scout for the cover of Vanity Fair. That photo became iconic, showing the world that being a mother didn't mean hiding or being ashamed of your body. She worked hard to make her career fit around her family life. On the set of G.I. Jane, she had a nursery built for her youngest daughter. But no matter how much effort she put in, she often felt guilty for not being there enough for her children. After splitting from Bruce, she made a huge decision to leave Hollywood temporarily and move to Idaho. She wanted her daughters to have a normal life away from the constant spotlight, even if it meant stepping back from her career. This choice showed how much she valued being a mother above everything else, including her fame and success. In 2003, Demi Moore met Ashton Kutcher at the New York premiere of Charlie's Angels: Full Throttle. Demi was 40 years old at the time, and Ashton was 25. Despite the 15-year age gap, they felt an immediate and strong connection. Demi was drawn to Ashton's charm and humor. Within a day of meeting, they had an 8-hour phone call where they talked about their dreams and life philosophies. This deep conversation set the tone for their fast-moving romance. Just 3 weeks after meeting, Ashton had already met Demi's daughters and her ex-husband, Bruce Willis. In a bold and surprising move, Ashton proposed to Demi only 2 months into their relationship. He planned a romantic midnight picnic on the beach in Santa Barbara and spelled out, "Marry me," with rose petals. The engagement ring was a 5-carat Asher-cut diamond worth $250,000. By the 4th month, they had moved in together and even started a production company called Catalyst Films. Their first project, Beauty and the Geek, became a hit, solidifying their status as a Hollywood power couple. However, their relationship faced a heartbreaking challenge when Demi suffered a miscarriage 6 months into her pregnancy. The loss devastated both of them, but they supported each other through grief counseling 3 times a week for months. Ashton later said this tragedy made him realize he was ready for fatherhood, which actually strengthened their bond even more during this difficult time. The media was fascinated by their 15-year age gap, which became a major topic of public discussion. When they made their debut as a couple at the Charlie's Angels premiere, the press went wild. Over 200 photographers crowded the event, and some even offered $100,000 for a photo of them kissing. Late-night comedians and talk shows constantly made jokes about their relationship, and the term cougar became mainstream, with Demi often being its poster child. Despite all the jokes and media attention, Demi and Ashton faced the scrutiny with humor and grace. Demi even appeared in a 2005 Saturday Night Live skit, wearing old-age makeup, poking fun at the obsession with their age difference. This showed their ability to laugh at themselves and not take the criticism too seriously. In September 2005, Demi and Ashton had a private wedding at their Beverly Hills home with just 100 guests, including Bruce Willis. Demi wore a Lanvin gown, and Ashton wore a cream Brooks Brothers suit. They exchanged vows under a Kabbalah chuppah, reflecting their spiritual beliefs. A particularly touching moment came when Demi's daughters Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah read heartfelt letters to Ashton, who gave each girl a Cartier love bracelet to symbolize his commitment to their family. Bruce Willis was reportedly moved to tears by the ceremony. After their wedding, Demi and Ashton embraced their blended family life. They bought a home in Idaho where they enjoyed family vacations and hosted themed parties. They often spent time together with Bruce Willis, co-parenting smoothly and even vacationing as one big extended family. Bruce praised Ashton, saying he was one of the only men his daughters had ever told, "I love you" to. Ashton's role as a stepfather to Demi's daughters was significant and challenging. At just 27 years old, he took on the responsibility of helping to raise three girls aged 17, 14, and 11. He threw himself into the role completely, attending their school events, cheering at their performances, and even learning how to French braid their hair. Ashton admitted to taking parenting classes to better understand his role, saying that love isn't something that gets divided, but grows. However, the relationship faced serious problems that would eventually destroy it. When Demi and Ashton found out they were expecting a baby, they were thrilled. Moore was 41 years old and 6 months pregnant when, during a routine checkup on September 23, 2005, their joy turned into heartbreak. They discovered their baby girl, Chaplin Ray, had no heartbeat. This loss completely crushed Moore, who had been sober for almost 20 years. She blamed herself, thinking her occasional drinking and smoking early in the pregnancy had caused the tragedy. The grief hit Moore incredibly hard. She became severely depressed and started using alcohol and painkillers like Vicodin to numb the overwhelming pain. Her weight dropped dangerously low to just 98 pounds. The couple tried everything to have another baby, including IVF treatments, but nothing worked. Moore felt even more broken with each failed attempt. In 2019, she described this time as feeling completely lost and empty, struggling to understand how to cope with such devastating loss. The miscarriage also seriously hurt their marriage. Kutcher didn't fully understand Moore's pain and grief. In her memoir Inside Out, Moore said he tried to support her but couldn't truly connect with what she was feeling. This emotional distance only grew over time and started to seriously damage their relationship. In a desperate attempt to save their marriage, they tried unusual things. Moore revealed in her memoir that they even had threesomes because Kutcher asked for it. She wanted to make him happy and went along with it, but it left her feeling ashamed and confused about their relationship. They also turned to spirituality for help, going to the Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles, and even traveling to Israel for a spiritual retreat. None of these efforts worked to heal the growing problems in their marriage. The pressure to have a baby, Moore's struggles with addiction, and their significant age gap only made things worse over time. Things reached a breaking point when rumors of Kutcher cheating came out. On their 6th wedding anniversary, September 24, 2011, Kutcher reportedly spent the night with a 22-year-old woman named Sarah L. Yell. Moore had actually seen Leal before at a bowling alley, where Leal boldly gave Kutcher her phone number right in front of Moore and her daughter. Moore found out about the affair through a Google alert on her phone while getting ready for a red carpet event. When she confronted Kutcher, he admitted to the affair. Moore said she was so shocked she couldn't breathe. She later learned he had cheated before with a 21-year-old woman named Brittany Jones. To make matters worse, Kutcher tried to justify his actions by saying their threesomes had blurred the lines in their relationship. This only deepened Moore's hurt and betrayal. The cheating became public knowledge, making the situation even harder for Moore to handle. Just days after the scandal broke, they appeared together at an event for their foundation against human trafficking. Moore had to stand next to Kutcher as he spoke, even though she knew what he had done. It was humiliating and painful. On November 17, 2011, Moore announced their separation. She said it was a painful but necessary decision and that she needed to stay true to her values. The divorce process dragged on for almost 2 years. Kutcher officially filed in December 2012, and the split was finally finalized in November 2013. Moore later said the end of their marriage felt like a nightmare and deeply hurt her self-esteem. Kutcher admitted in a 2023 interview that the divorce made him feel like a failure. Both of them struggled to heal, especially with so much of their pain being played out in the public eye. After her divorce from Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore's life began falling apart in devastating ways. She had been sober for nearly 20 years, but everything changed, and she fell back into serious addiction. Things reached a dangerous point on January 23, 2012, when Demi had a seizure during a party at her house in Benedict Canyon. She had been smoking synthetic cannabis and inhaling nitrous oxide when someone called 911. Emergency responders described her as semi-conscious and shaking uncontrollably. It was a terrifying moment and marked the start of a very dark period in her life. Her addiction became progressively worse over the next 3 years. She started taking up to 12 Vicodin pills every day and drinking Red Bull mixed with vodka. She also became obsessed with her body and weight, spending hours looking in the mirror and convincing herself she needed to be thinner. Her health deteriorated so badly that she weighed only 102 pounds. The combination of stress, exhaustion, and lack of proper nutrition caused multiple seizures, and she barely held on to her life. During this time, Demi became very isolated from everyone who cared about her. She avoided her family and friends and spent most of her time alone. She missed her daughter Rumer's 30th birthday and stopped showing up for other important family events. Her behavior became so erratic and concerning that her daughters didn't know how to help her anymore. By September 2012, Demi finally went to rehab at a luxury treatment center in Utah called Cirque Lodge. It cost $150,000 a month, but it was a necessary step for her to start getting better and saving her life. However, the road to recovery would be long and difficult, with many setbacks along the way. Demi's addiction didn't just hurt her, it deeply affected her relationship with her 3 daughters, Rumer, Scout, and Tallulah. Things got so bad that Demi and her daughters stopped talking for 3 years. Tallulah, who was just 25 at the time, explained how scary and heartbreaking it was to watch her mother struggle. She said it felt like her mom became a completely different person, like a monster she didn't recognize. Tallulah remembered feeling anxious and frightened whenever Demi's behavior changed, like when her speech became slurred or she acted overly affectionate in inappropriate ways. The stress of dealing with her mother's addiction even caused Tallulah to develop her own eating disorder and body image issues. Rumer, who was 31, felt angry and heartbroken by the situation. She said it felt like her mom's addiction had stolen something precious from their relationship. She also talked about a terrifying moment when she had to call 911 to save her mother's life. Scout, who was 28, felt completely abandoned and began to believe that her mother didn't love her anymore. The pain was so intense that the 3 sisters eventually stopped speaking to Demi entirely in 2012. They didn't even attend her 50th birthday celebration, and Demi missed important milestones in their lives, like Rumer's appearance on Dancing with the Stars in 2015. For years, the family remained estranged, but everything started to change on November 12, 2015. Tallulah, the youngest daughter, had just finished her own rehabilitation program after struggling with substance abuse and an eating disorder. She bravely decided to reach out to her mom, marking the first time they had seen each other in almost 3 years. Demi didn't waste any time and flew to New York right away to meet her daughter. Rebuilding their relationships wasn't easy and required a lot of hard work from everyone involved. In a 2019 episode of Red Table Talk, the family openly discussed how difficult things had been. Tallulah said she had felt abandoned and confused. Rumer admitted she used to have panic attacks at the thought of accidentally running into her mom. Scout confessed she was angry and full of resentment that had built up over years. Demi took full responsibility for her actions and the pain she had caused. She admitted that her struggles with addiction had deeply hurt her family, and she was committed to making things right. She worked incredibly hard to rebuild trust, going to therapy and family counseling for 18 months. A major breakthrough happened in 2017, and the whole family spent a week together at a healing retreat in Arizona. They meditated together and did emotional healing exercises that helped them reconnect. Now, things are much better between them than they have been in years. They spend holidays together, actively support each other on social media, and even work on projects as a family. For Demi's 60th birthday in 2022, her daughter surprised her by getting matching tattoos of the word mother written in her handwriting. It was a beautiful way to show how close they had become again and how much they had all healed. Today, at 62 years old, Demi Moore has completely transformed her approach to life and relationships. On her birthday in 2024, she told Vogue magazine that she had learned the most important relationship is the one she has with herself. She explained that she doesn't need anyone to complete her because she finally feels whole on her own. She even created a term for her new lifestyle: solo partnering. This means she's focusing on her own growth and happiness without actively looking for a romantic partner, although she remains open to love if it comes naturally. This concept became so popular that the hashtag #solopartnering was trending online right after her interview was published. Demi's approach to dating has also changed dramatically. In the past year, she went on only 3 carefully chosen dates. One of them was with an astrophysicist she met at a TED Talk. They went stargazing in the Mojave Desert together. Demi said it wasn't romantic, but it was an experience she'll always remember because it was so meaningful and intellectually stimulating. Surprisingly, Demi has also become friends with Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher's current wife. They even started a book club together and meet every 2 weeks to discuss books and life. Fans love how mature and forgiving Demi has become, showing that healing and growth are possible, even after the most difficult experiences. As for the future, Demi hasn't ruled out love completely, but now she's very clear about what she wants and needs. If she does fall for someone, it will be someone who adds value to her life, not someone she feels she needs to be complete. She's also made it clear that any potential partner absolutely must love her dog, Pilaf, who has become a little Instagram star with over 2 million followers. Demi Moore's story is ultimately one of resilience, growth, and the power of self-love. Despite facing incredible challenges, including childhood trauma, addiction, failed marriages, and estrangement from her children, she has managed to rebuild her life and find peace. Her journey shows that it's never too late to heal, forgive, and start over, no matter how dark things may seem.